So I've titled my presentation this morning Purpose. And I think one of the things that's really important for us as an organization is that we need to be clear about our purpose. And we're going to share some of those things today. I've got 4 big items I'd like to share with you, to talk with you about today. And as you can imagine, we're going to kind of move right through these 4 items because here in about 35 minutes, you're going to hear from my good friend Sam Cordes. And we're looking forward to that presentation very, very much. But I want to share with you some good news. I want to talk about our centennial. I want to talk about our strategic initiatives and the conversations that we've been having there. And I want to talk about community vitality, which is a big part of the rest of our day. You know, I can't even begin to capture all the great things that are going on in this organization right now, but there's actually some very cool things I do want to mention. One is on January 1, the current director of E-Extension, Dan Cotton, is going to work for us. And he's going to be the director of integrated technologies. And this is going to be very cool because, I can't think of anyone else in the country who is better connected to the way we use technology, the way we can use technology, cutting edge technology, to help us think about how we add value to extension programs. And Dan's going to be a wonderful resource. We have a new online conference registration process with Ed Media. If you were at the Tech Cafe yesterday, you saw it. It's very exciting. We've redefined student recruitment and how we're doing student recruitment. We've hired, Don's right down here, Kelly Bruns, to help Don and the West Central folks out as Associate District Director there. We've got Extension TV. We've got Click to Science. We have an emerging community vitality initiative. We've hired Chuck Schroeder as the inaugural founding director of the Rural Futures Institute. We have a digital diagnostic network. We have an animal care online course that other states want to buy from us. We beat Northwestern a couple of weeks ago to make us bowl eligible. And then we went to the Big House and we beat Michigan in the Big House. And where's Paul? Hey, we're gonna disappoint your Spartans on Saturday. Here's some news you've all been waiting for. These are the people that we have identified as candidates for our associate director position. I'm so excited. We're going to interview these folks in December. Joe Britt Rankin is assistant director program leader at the University of Missouri in human sciences extension and has an incredible track record of building programs, building capacity, and bringing in new resources. Dr. Dina Van Sickle Stout is one of ours, the unit leader in Douglas Sarpy, and certainly comes to us with an incredible commitment to people development in this organization from a coaching standpoint and others. Wayne Moore is a district director at Purdue University, has a background in human sciences extension, has worked as a district director, regional director in Missouri and in Indiana, and also spent 7 years as the Vice President for Customer Service for the American Bank in Lubbock, Texas. So a very diverse background for Wayne. And you all know Dave Varner, one of our own, who is serving as the Associate District Director in the Southeast Research and Extension Center, and a person who is very committed to this organization in terms of how we develop and deliver on our mission. So I hope you will all be part of this. We will web stream a presentation. You'll have an opportunity to engage these people in a conversation, and we really need your help to figure out who the next great associate director is going to be. I want to talk about the Smith Lever celebration a little bit and give you a sense of what we're going to use. There's some centennial words up on the screen. Has anybody noticed the top tagline? Responsive, innovative, trusted. Those are 3 incredibly powerful words. And they're words that reflect what we do as an organization, but they also are aspirational for us as we go forward, thinking about what kind of organization do we want to be in the future. We need to build on what we do now, but we need to do it better. And so this idea of being responsive to the needs of Nebraskans, this idea of being innovative, and this idea of building trust, that people trust us as a resource and that that's important. And so those are important words, and we'd like you to use those words. We also have put together a video, and I'm going to share this video with you right now. We're going to kick this centennial off at NASEB on February 6th. We're going to ask all of you to do a celebration in your community, in your county, at some point during the year. We would like this to be tied to an educational event. That's the best marketing that we can do, is to tie this centennial to an educational event. But we'd like to know about that centennial or that celebration when you put it on. We also are, and this is in the planning stages, but we are going to try to sponsor a 21st Century Extension colloquium on city campus. And we're going to invite the chancellor to provide opening remarks. We'll see if that all works, but our objective here is to share with our campus and our campus leadership what Extension is doing to lead us into the next century. Our proclamations, a couple of proclamations will be coming, and then a culminating event the Saturday of Labor Day weekend at the State Fair that'll bring this centennial year to a close and help us celebrate one last time the great work that we're doing and the promise that it holds for the future. There's a lot of things in the toolbox. This is available to you on the Employee Resources website, but a lot of resources there, including a new shirt. And we're wearing the centennial on our sleeve this year. So I see some of you have your shirt on. That's great. We want you to wear that tonight for a photo of all of us together. And then thanks to Ann Fenton, who chose the flavors for the centennial ice cream. And it's good, I'm telling you. We've got centennial ice cream. And if you want to use that for a local event, you'll be able to buy that from the dairy store. So, you know, this centennial, as you've heard me talk about it, what we're really talking about and thinking about is our future. So what does our future hold? You know, our centennial shouldn't be about looking back. It ought to be looking forward. And the message is to our friends and to others that we work with is you ain't seen nothing yet. That's what Extension of the Future looks like. And so I like to think about this in the context of the great philosopher Yogi Berra, who said, you know, the future ain't what it used to be. That's interesting, isn't it? We need to be asking ourselves this question as we go through this year and going forward. What can we as an organization, what can we as individuals do better, more affordably, and more effectively than anyone else? We need to ask ourselves that question. And as we ask ourselves that question, we think about the assets that we have in Extension here in Nebraska, our people, all of you. We've got great leadership, not only in Extension, but beyond. Incredible research-based knowledge, a local presence and partnerships, a pretty darn good budget compared to most states, and a very loyal fan base. So what does that mean going forward? How many of you in the room recognize this? If you're under 40, you don't have a clue, right? That, my friends, is an 8-track tape player. And when I was in high school, we'd slide that baby in there, crank it up, and cruise. But the only way you'll find one of those right now is to go to the antique shop. But the reason I bring this up is that there is a concept of economics called creative destruction. And I share this with you because I think it's really important to think about this in context. Creative destruction is a process through which something new brings about the demise of whatever existed before it. So why are 8-track tapes gone? Well, cassettes, CDs, MP3 players, iPhones, it's all changed. We don't want to be that organization that declines because of creative destruction. And you know, there's some things we need to work on. How deep do you have to go in a Google search to find UNL Extension resources? Our partners are are hiring people to do education and outreach activities. That's our job. Yet some of the people that we work with are doing that. They're competing with us. Others are putting on these MOOCs, these massive online open courses. Yet we do that. So I think our challenge is to continue to think and look ahead and ask ourselves, are we an organization at risk? I'm going to tell you right now, we are. But so is every other business, every other organization, every other group of people who are trying to move their agenda forward. They're at risk just like we are. Who's going to be the best? Who's going to be most effective? Who's going to make this work? Can we be better, more affordable, and more effective than anyone else? Here's my answer. Let's do it. Let's get after it. Let's make it happen. You know, the exciting thing that I've discovered since I've come here is that we, as an organization, all of us, are transforming UNL Extension as we speak. You've been here the last couple of days to engage in professional development activities that expand your horizon and give you new tools. And there's some important things around this. Being local, that is one of our commitments. Local is ground zero for us. And we're going to focus on important issues. We're going to continue to build our expertise. We're going to build team synergy, and we're going to figure out how to partner with others more effectively. We're going to focus on learner-based extension. You know, we've talked about this idea we teach. We need to finish the sentence. They learn. And if we teach well and create learner-centered learning environments, they will learn better than ever before. And we can do that as well or better than anyone else. Shared leadership is a huge opportunity, and one of the really cool things that came from the Real Futures Conference last week, this idea that leadership is no longer about leadership and followers, it's about leadership and collaborators. It changes the conversation. It changes the way we think about it. And then we always need to continue our conversation in thinking about why. Why do we do things? I want to share with you a very short video about purpose. All right, I'm going to skip that video in the interest of time. But what I wanted to share with you from that video was that in the first 30 seconds, Brubaker Farms told us that they produce food, they raise dairy cows, and they produce energy. And they made their purpose very, very clear. So I think that's important as we go forward. How are we as Extension going to evolve? We're going to focus on quality programming. We're going to live locally and act regionally. We're going to follow Viktor Frankl's idea. And Viktor Frankl, you may know, was in a concentration camp during World War II, and he survived it. But one of the things he said is when we're no longer able to change a situation, We are challenged to change ourselves, and that's what we're going to be about going forward in Extension. We're going to invest in ourselves. We're going to invest in all of you. And that investment is going to pay incredible dividends, I would suggest. This investment will add value for our clientele. And so we think about how we look going forward and the kinds of things that we're going to do. You know, some organizations, when they think about how they evolve and they change, they make these little course corrections, 2-3 degrees. They're going to do something a little bit different. And I would suggest to you on some of the things that we need to do, we need to pivot. We need to change our direction. And we need to be better at doing what we're going to do. We started this conversation in early October, 1,600 miles, 11 listening sessions across Nebraska. We listened to all of you and we asked you what's important. And you told us. And then we came up with these 11 ideas. We sent these out to all of you, and 163 of you voted. And you know what was interesting? You could vote anywhere from 1, because you said it was really important, to 5, not important. Everything on the list was a 2.6 or better. In other words, we're all above average, right? Everything is important on this list. And so we're not going to do everything right now, but we're going to start right now investing in this organization, and we're going to invest in these 4 initial priorities. We're going to work on the rest. They'll come. But number 7 and number 9 about being research-based and staying current. Number 1 about fostering creativity and innovation in this organization. And then number 2 about focusing on evolving demographics in Nebraska, something that we really need to do. So how are we going to do that? Well, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to invest in all of you. $100,000 a year for 3 years, $300,000 for professional development grants. And we'll match these. The max is $1,000, but we'll match those 1 for 1 if you go as an individual. We'll match them 2 for 1 if you go as part of a team. Okay? So we're investing in all of you. And there's old Albert Einstein. He's invested, and not only that, he's excited because he just shouted Eureka. March 18-19 of 2014. Get out your calendars, write it down. We're going to do Eureka 2014. What is Eureka? Eureka is a cry of joy or satisfaction when one finds or discovers something. We're going to invite everybody to campus. We're going to connect with our scientists, and we're going to learn and understand the kind of cutting-edge science that our university is engaged with, and you will all have that opportunity to be part of Eureka 2014. We're going to make another investment in all of you, $100,000 per year for 3 years, $300,000, up to $10,000 per grant for you to embark in something that is innovative and new and different. And you'll be able to do this as teams and connected with the kinds of priorities that we have in Extension. We're establishing a technology innovation task force, and the purpose of this task force is not just to figure out what kind of technology we need now, today, but to think about what kind of technology do we need in 2020, and what do we need to be doing today so that we're ready when it comes. So we're thinking ahead about innovation and using technology. Not the only way we're going to do Extension. Don't get confused about this. Extension is still face-to-face, interpersonal relationship built, but we're going to use technology better than anyone else to add value to that. And then another investment, $100,000 per year for 3 years, $10,000 in a chunk, to reach out to new audiences and to develop programs to engage all Nebraskans. This is so critically important. We can't continue not doing that. We have to make this kind of investment. And so we would encourage you to think about any one of these 3 ideas in terms of investment programs. We'd like you to come to Eureka 2014, and we'd like you to enjoy the conversation around the Technology Innovation Task Force. And if you want to know about these grants and how to apply, all you need to do is go to Employee Resources webpage, front and center, number 1. There's 3 links. You can go there right now, and you can apply. Okay? We'll start reviewing these on December 1st. And after that, we will review as they come in, with the idea that we will provide you a 72-hour turnaround from the time you submit to the time you have an answer in terms of whether your idea is going to be funded. All right. Do you like that? I'm going to shift gears right now, but what I'd like you to do is stand up, turn to the person next to you, give them a high five, and shout, "Heck yeah!" So I'm just curious as I walk through that list of things, those list of 5 big ideas up there, how many of you had an idea of something that you just might want to do, something you just might want to apply for? Let's see a show of hands. How many of you thought of something as I was going through that? Keep thinking, folks. We want all of you engaged. Now I'm going to switch gears. We want to talk about community vitality. This is a big part of today and what today is about. And so we want you to understand this a little bit better and think about what it means for us. And there's a couple of things that are really important. First of all, I want you to notice that it says Community Vitality Initiative. It does not say Community Vitality Action Team. And I think I've got a fan in every crowd. Might be just one, but I got a fan in every crowd. But this is an important idea because this community vitality idea, in fact, crosses borders. And it crosses our action teams. And it challenges us to think differently about how we're going to engage in the kind of work that improves communities in Nebraska. And notice I didn't say rural communities. Certainly rural communities are part of this, but so are our urban centers. Community vitality is about Nebraska communities. And we've had a couple of teams that have been working on this, and I want to acknowledge Cheryl Burkhart-Kriesel, Mark Gustafson, Connie Reimers-Hill, Jeff Yost, who helped us with a concept paper that challenged us to think differently about this. And Kim Behrens, Cheryl Burkhart-Kriesel, Connie Hancock, Kathy Johnston, Rick Kelsch, Connie Reimers-Hild, and D.S. Schultz as people who helped on an implementation team to set us up for today. So thank you to those folks who are helping us think differently about how we're going to do community vitality. You know, this Nebraska Rural Futures Institute is off the ground. And last week we heard from Chuck Schroeder. And Chuck Schroeder said this in his vision, and I think it's so important. He said, and this is a direct quote off his slide, we're going to draw upon any available resource to make the choice of rural community lifestyle more feasible, sustainable, attractive, and productive. Chuck just threw the door wide open. And our commitment is to walk through the door. Okay? So that's what we're about as we think about community vitality. Are we going to be part of the Rural Futures Institute? I don't know what that looks like. What I do know is we want to be an incredibly strong partner, and community vitality is our response, our opportunity to engage in things that are important for Nebraska and for the Rural Futures Institute. Our goal is to optimize our contribution to communities in ways that are opportunistic, transdisciplinary, creative, and bold. Here's the format for today. We're going to have some breakouts here in a little bit, and we're going to ask you to pick one of these 3 signature outcome areas. And we're going to ask you to engage in that conversation and be part of the conversation to better understand and think about what your role might be. And you may ask yourself, how do I fit? How do I contribute? Well, the first one around developing or growing Nebraska businesses, let's say you work in irrigation, Bill Kranz, and you and others are developing new remote sensing devices to help us better manage irrigation. That could be an economic opportunity. That could be a business opportunity for someone in Nebraska. That contributes to this first signature outcome. The second one is around engaging youth and young adults in rural communities. And, certainly that could be about leadership. It could be about civic engagement. It could be about youth entrepreneurship. And if you're interested in those things, there's a conversation here for you. If you're interested or thinking about how we create local communities that are attractive to young people and young families, this is a conversation where you can also contribute. You will also, when you participate in these conversations, have the opportunity to meet a group of people who are transition leaders to help us think about how we move forward with these ideas. So we hope you'll engage and become part of this. You might ask the question, how do I participate in community vitality? Well, first of all, it's voluntary. But you know what? You're all invited if you're willing to make a commitment based on your interest or your capacity or your ability to do this kind of work. And don't undersell yourself. Don't underestimate the contribution that you can make. And so, that's interesting. We're also going to have more partners involved in the RFI, and those will come later. Today is about a conversation with us, but we wanted you to know that. One of the really important pieces is a connector role. This connector role is going to help us think about how the people in these three signature areas connect with action teams and connect with all of you in ways that make sense. And then there's kind of three different levels of membership. You can be a core member, which means that you think about this all the time and you work on it all the time, and it's part of your core program and it's what you do. Or you might be an engaged member, a person who has an idea that can contribute, and you come in, you participate, you share that, you contribute, maybe it becomes a program or a project, but when that's finished, you step out. Or you might be a program member, which says something that we're doing in community vitality, you want that delivered in your community, your county, your region, and you help make that happen. And if you thought that didn't count anymore, go look at Activity Insight. There is a checkbox for people who help make things happen in your local community. Next steps. Here in just a few minutes, if I hurry, I got to get done with this because you all really want to hear from Dr. Sam Cordes, and I'm going to introduce Sam here in just a few minutes. So we have a keynote to help us think more broadly and deeply about community vitality. We're going to have these signature outcome breakouts here in just a little bit. We would like you in that process to think about your role and how you could contribute, how you could be part of this. And then teams are going to form around those three signature outcomes, and our transition leaders know that we want to kick this off by May 1st. That's just 6 short months away. That's time to form a team, that's a time to get organized, and then it's a time to start. One of the things that we do in Extension that in fact is one of our biggest challenges is that we plan and we plan and we plan until we get it perfect. And then we roll it out because we want it to be perfect and we want it to be good. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But with this idea, when we're 70% of the way there, let's go. And let's learn how to fly the plane as we build it. One of Beth Bernstein's old sayings. But let's do that in a way that is productive and it helps us move forward. So let's be launched by May 1st. Here are our signature program presentations. You're going to meet these folks here in just a little bit, but we're so grateful to have 3 facilitators with us today. Greg Wise, Matt Calvert, and Ben Winchester. Are you folks in the room? Over here, there they are. Thank you very much for being here, and we appreciate your leadership very much to help us lead this conversation. These are people who think about community vitality all the time. So here's where we've been today. A better understanding on your part, hopefully, in terms of what the Smith-Lever Centennial looks like. We've announced the response to these strategic initiatives and investments in you, investments in this organization. And if you total that, the grant programs plus the commitment to Eureka 2014 going forward, that's $1 million investment in all of you in this organization. And I know with that kind of investment that we're going to get great results. And then this conversation about community vitality and how we're going to start this, how we're going to have the conversation, and we're going to think about how this fits for all of us. So that's where we've been today. I hope you're excited. I hope you're enthused and ready to move forward with this conversation today and tomorrow. Thank you all very much.